participate in team drill Saturday due to arm soreness, according to the team. Veteran Joe Flacco and rookie Dillon Gabriel took over QB reps, while Pickett and Sanders were sidelined. After 9 days of training camp, here's how the Browns QB room measures up per ESPN Cleveland, as Shedeur Sanders notably has 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. All right, Dan, will Shedeur ever start for Cleveland this season?
I think he will. I think he should, and I think it's bad business if he doesn't. If I was Cleveland, one of those rookie quarterbacks would be my starting quarterback. I understand that Kevin Stefanski, who's their head coach, 2-time coach of the year, like there is a hot seat component to that, and that's real. So you got to win, and there's 2 first-round picks of the future. But that's why I would want one of those rookies. I know what I'm going to get with Joe. We're going to be a good football team with Joe. Joe's going to have good games. He'll have some games that he might struggle. Kenny Pickett, probably somewhat similar. If Joe's our starting quarterback, we might get to 9-8, 10-7, compete for the playoffs. I feel relatively confident in that. If I'm Cleveland, I want Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel to be the guy, and I'll focus on Shedeur. One, there's a lot of people who think Shedeur at worst was like a second-round physical ability, talent-wise. 2, I'm of the camp that I think that Shedeur's skills and traits, the rhythm passer that he is, his footwork, and the ability to play on time and rhythm is custom suited to this offense that Kevin Stefanski runs. I agree. And Kevin Stefanski's back taking the play calling over. So if I'm them, and I know that this offense has taken quarterbacks that kind of look like Shedeur's playing style, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and they've excelled in this offense that have somewhat similar styles of play, why would I not want to at some point get Shedeur on the field and sit there and go, you know what, he's a backup? Or sit there and go, we got a starting quarterback on our hands. We got a guy that we can win a lot of games with, and that changes our outlook for 2026 and on.
So one thing I want to say, so last year, a year ago, Andrew Berry, their GM, and Kevin Stefanski signed multi-year contract extensions. So if anything, to me, job security isn't the issue in Cleveland. I mean, it would have to be a terrible season. But to your point, I feel like they're not on the hot seat, at least right now. It feels like you should be able to have the freedom to put the young kids, see what you have, because you're not playing for your job unless things go terribly wrong.
Yeah, but we've seen owners move on from guys after 1 year of hiring them. Like, I don't feel like they have those sorts of attachments to coaches, but I do believe Kevin Stefanski has earned the equity to see who Shedeur Sanders is. And, you know, I love you made a point, man. And bringing up Brock Purdy, I think you made the best point of the day, that in Kevin Stefanski's offense, in offenses along the line of the coaching lineage he comes from, you don't need the big, strong-armed, super athletic quarterback. You need anticipation. You need accuracy. You need pocket feel. And Shedeur Sanders has all of those things. And I also believe that we have to get away from the narrative of that he was drafted in the 5th round. No, he's in your building. Right. He's in your quarterback room. And it comes down to whether or not the Cleveland Browns are trying to win as many games as they can this year, or they're trying to find a franchise quarterback. Because you know in the older two, you don't have that. Right. But you could have that in whether it's Dillon Gabriel or, as we're focusing on now, Shedeur Sanders. So how long do you wait to find out?
Well, I mean, to your point, Joe Flacco, what he's been doing has been great. I love the story of Joe Flacco just going up there, you know, getting off the couch and playing great and looking great in practice. But if Joe Flacco is your quarterback the most of the season, something's going horribly wrong for this franchise, because you're not doing what you need to do.
The horribly wrong thing was Deshaun Watson. But
with that, I mean, that we are still, you know, that's a whole nother thing. We're still feeling the ripple effects of that Deshaun Watson situation. And if you have Joe Flacco still throwing passes in week 10, week 11, you have not put the faith in this future, and you do not draft Shedeur. Why do you have a guy like Shedeur Sanders who, you know, gets all of this attention, who demands attention, who we're going to be wondering why he's not playing if you do not intend for him to play? And I felt like it was a foregone conclusion. And then when you feel like you're passing the buck, when you feel like an owner is passing the buck,
according to the owner, he's here because Andrew Berry.
But you're passing the buck on a guy you haven't even seen throw a football in a regular season game. Like that to me indicates that something is going.
It ain't your job. It's not your job to say that.
Right. That makes no sense.
You can say nothing.
Yeah, that's why I find, can you guys throw that graphic up of the passing stats in the preseason or the training camp practices? part of me laughs at that.
Yeah.
You know, like
It doesn't. They're trying things. It's
right,
hard
and
to look at.
is he doing it against the third team defense?
Right.
Yeah.
Is he
You
playing with
don't-
the first team
context.
offense?
Right.
So, but there seems to be some pretty good success being had by Shedeur.
Yeah.
And so, like, there is going to come to a point where if he continues to perform at a good level, I don't care who you're doing it against and or with, where people will sit there and go like, why isn't he getting a little bit more of an? Why doesn't he get to run the
Well,
set?
I think-
No, but that's what happens, right? Like if you show that you are the best amongst the third team, you normally get an opportunity to move up and let's
Tuesday's
say,
gonna be-
what do we have in this guy? Let him run with better players versus better
I
players.
think the real question is going to be, who does Kevin Stefanski want to see? And I think that's a question that needs to be answered very soon.
Well,
All
the owner already told you. They should do it.
All right, coming up, guys. What team needs to get off to the fastest start this season? These answers may surprise you. More have been prone to bad starts. Over the last 3 years, get this, Cincinnati has a 2-7 record. 2-7 record in the first 3 weeks of the season, tied for worst in the NFL. Joe Burrow has struggled with a QBR of 54 in that span. Daniel, are the Bengals the team that has to get off to the fastest start?
Of course they are. The stats speak for themselves. They have Baltimore within their division. We all know that the AFC is absolutely loaded, specifically our quarterbacks. No Trey Hendrickson. Will he be there? Will he not be there? Shamar Stewart's all that. There's no question about it. Cincinnati needs to at least play 500 football in the first month to keep job security safe and have a realistic shot at the playoffs.
I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe this team has to start fast, especially thinking about the way their seasons have ended when you look at Coach Tomlin's last decade as the head coach. Also adding Aaron Rodgers and what it's going to be like in the sort of microscope that this team will be under in the way that they play according to the scoreboard and also in the way it feels and the way it looks, the chemistry between those two. So I believe it's important for them to get off to a fast start so they can be in competition for the playoffs the entire year.
I'm going to go with the Bengals and agree with you for a couple of reasons. One, these starts have just been atrocious for the last 2 years, 1-3 for 2 years in a row. And also, unlike the Steelers, I think the Bengals have a shot to be in that top echelon, the AFC, and that start will make a huge difference to that. And a big part of that is I want to see what that defense looks like at the beginning. We all know the struggles of that defense. This team in losses that scored 28 points, averaged 28 points last year in their losses, right? So I want to see a first 4 games where this defense and Al Golden and what he does with them figure something out. And if I can see a good defense, I can believe that they can become a high echelon, top tier AFC team. But if I don't